the allegations that were leveled against him were about high-handedness, misappropriation of funds.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever happened to those allegations?
So it's a good question. So, as a Lagosian, and just listening to that, the overriding reaction is that, essentially our voices have been stolen, right?
How so?
If you think about what the House of Assembly is, that is the arm of government that represents the voice of the people. And that's how those houses of assembly developed from the historical monarchical systems that we had, so that people can have a voice in government.
Mm-hmm.
And that is central to democracy. So when 36 lawmakers get together and they say, we do not want this person to be our speaker for X, Y, and Z reasons, which they outlined. They were very vocal. They were very decisive. They were unequivocal. And all of a sudden you see that, that course of action has been overruled.
Mm.
What it means is that the voice of the people, which is the voice of their representatives in the government, has been overruled by a narrow interest within the government. And that interest is unelected by the people.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly, it is very problematic for democracy. We have, and as you noted in your sort of introductory comments, there has been this perception of a hegemonic structure in Lagos, a monolithic structure with a very dominant, power center. And there's been the debate, yes, is it true? Is it just people making up stories and so on and so forth? I think this is one of the clearest pieces of evidence that you can see that, if it smells like a dog, if it walks like a dog, if it looks like a dog, chances are it's a dog.
So let's go back to when he was removed. Obasa did say that what happened was not democratic, that they did not follow the rules. And I know that you're not a lawyer, but then there's been that argument back and forth as to whether it was done properly, if the House unanimously removed him. And I remember I had your Labour Party counterpart, who was also a candidate in the elections, come here at the time to say, so what are we going to do about those allegations? How come the EFCC is not picking up on this? How come Lagosians are not picking up on this? So I want to ask you as a Lagosian. Now, I'm Lagosian by proxy. I grew up here, but you are more of a Lagosian than I am. How come Lagosians didn't pick up on this? How come these things, we just gloss over them?
You're talking about the allegations against the speaker? Well, people can make allegations. It is not up to the public to investigate allegations. It's not up to the public to prove allegations. And we have representatives in the House.
So why were we not pushing those representatives to ask for it?
No, so hold on. If they say that they have removed their speaker for certain allegations, they've taken the first step, right? Remember that they did that, and then we now got into all of this hula baloo, right? So what would have been the next logical steps? We don't know how those would have played out. Do you see what I mean? So the first thing we have to address is that even the course of action which they took, which is certainly within their power to remove a speaker. Remember that these allegations are still allegations. Mm-hmm. They still have to be proven and all of that. Mm-hmm. But they have made a decision to remove their speaker. Now, if that speaker, and I will be the first to defend the rights of anybody to defend themselves, if that speaker believes that the way he was removed was unlawful, he has every right to go to court, and he should. And I will support his right to go to court. But that process should be going on and should not stop the operations of the House, should not stop the business of the House being conducted under the speaker that they've chosen. And ultimately, the court will make its judgments. The interference in that process by a force outside of the democratic, sort of structure, I think is what is most problematic. Mm-hmm. And, beyond speaking about this dominance within that party structure, the APC structure, what it also speaks to is a lack of separation of powers and even that dominance at the federal level. Because remember that the interference went as far as the deployment of security agencies within the premises of the assembly, yes, which is, is just a blatant abuse of this separation of powers concept, and could only happen because all of these agencies and all of these organs, including the federal government, are under the control of that one narrow power block.
So you're saying that the executive controls the legislature and the judiciary, who are supposed to be separate entities. This is the allegation that you're making.
The allegation I'm making is that we don't have sufficient separation between those two entities, on the one hand. Secondly, when we talk about the power structure, and you talk about the dominance within the power structure, because remember, we're talking about the APC. Let's not deceive ourselves here. We're talking about the APC. We're saying there's a dominant influence within the APC. That dominant influence within the APC is dominant both at the state level and is dominant at the federal level. You see what I mean? So the dominance is like total when you think about it, right? And it's inclusive of the security agencies. And that's why what has played out could play out in the way in which it played out.